Sean Murphy and Dave Stewart explore the strained relationships of Neo-Gotham as Bruce discovers a revelation about Jack Napier, while Dick Grayson begins the turbulent hunt for his former mentor and father. Sean Murphy continues building out a new era of his White Knight universe with an excellent issue that dives into the lives of all of the supporting characters around Bruce and how the new city and status quo has shaped them. I thoroughly enjoyed what Murphy has done with Dick Grayson here, turning Batman's second son into everything he was taught to combat, and the hints at his destroyed relationship with Barbara are brilliant, with her delivering some fantastic dialogue about the GTO being perverted into a tool of the rich and powerful that the villains once used in Gotham were for. And I like that they are now used to instill fear into the city's populace, and how while there is no traditional crime anymore, the city is worse than ever thanks to things like suicides and homelessness. Things that were never really a thing the Bat family tackled head on all that much, but it's as much a problem in Gotham as bank robbers or supervillains. Bruce getting a reunion with Jack was fantastic, and we got an interesting take on their new relationship, with Bruce not wanting to be called Batman anymore, but not recognizing that Jack doesn't want to be called Joker anymore either. It's a great look at Bruce's hypocrisy in that he could never deal with the idea that Jack could change and get better and get rid of the Joker persona he had, and he always sees him as Joker. Murphy also explores Bruce suffering from things we've never seen Batman really suffer from, like anxiety, going so far as to show when he has a panic attack, something Bruce and Batman have never had, he thinks it's something like a heart attack or something a lot more serious than it actually is. It's just such interesting stuff at play, and it all comes through in the writing so articulated and well thought out. Murphy and Dave Stewart also tackle the artwork again with some more brilliant shots of Neo-Gotham with great use of muted colours like orange and yellow, which the book is covered in thanks to the different combinations of colours in Bruce's jumpsuits as well as what Joker is wearing, so I really like that they use that as a lot of the backgrounds. I also love the continued use of shadows in the book, with Bruce's shadow being Batman and Jack's being Joker, adding even more to the script's choices with their alter egos literally now being shadows of the owner's past and something they've moved past, and there's a shadow of their former self. It's really quite cool. Batman Beyond the White Knight issue 2 was another fantastic character-focused issue that explored how Neo-Gotham has changed the people who live there, both for better and worse, while exploring the concept that crime isn't always something that is obvious and can be ingrained in the systems around us. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. Batman Beyond the White Knight issue 2 heads 1 month into the past, where Terry McGinnis beats the crap out of Mr. Fix, telling Dick and the other GTO members who arrive that he wants the guy dead, not arrested. Dick knows how he is feeling, knowing that this isn't the way they handle things. Terry is arrested by Dick's partner for assaulting him, but Dick pulls his partner off the kid, reminding him they all play by his rules, not wanting to see Terry's name in any reports. Dick takes him over to a nearby limo where Derek Powers is awaiting him. Powers congratulates Terry for catching the criminal faster than the GTO, waving Dick away as he tells Terry to get inside. The man reveals that he's familiar with Terry's rap sheet, wondering if the boy knows who he is, and of course Terry knows who Derek Powers is, since he was his father's boss. Derek reveals that his father Warren was his best friend, knowing things must have been tough at home thanks to Terry's father and mother always fighting, but he knew that Warren loved his son. Terry doesn't think he did, but Derek knows the man had a hard time showing his emotions since he excelled in his work and ambition, and it was at the detriment of his personal life. Terry has no idea what his father did for a living, so Derek decides that the boy should know about the project and the truth, wanting Terry to work for him in his father's place in exchange for wiping away the boy's criminal record. Terry asks what they will be doing, so Powers reveals that Fix was not solely responsible for Warren's death, and if he helps him, they can find out who is really behind Warren McGinnis's death, and he can take his revenge. Terry agrees, and Powers asks him what he knows about the Batman. In the present, Bruce confronts Joker, who reminds him that he isn't called that anymore, he's Jack Napier. He tries to punch the man, but his hand goes through the ghostly visage of Jack, knowing that he saw Harleen put a bullet in his head, so he cannot be there. Jack wants him to calm down so he can explain himself, knowing Bruce is thinking that this is some type of hallucination, or his psyche is challenging him and giving him some extra energy, since who is Batman if he doesn't have the Joker? Jack reveals that it's none of that, and he's no hallucination as Bruce works out he's a hologram, wondering where he's being projected from. Jack reveals he's being projected from within Bruce's head, reminding Bruce of the time years ago that he beat him down on a rooftop, but Bruce knows that he just got very lucky, since the GTO had blinded him with the bat signal while Gordon hit him with the Batmobile, so it wasn't a fair fight. Jack reminds him that he created the GTO and he set up that entire night's events, so he did indeed kick his ass, sarcastically telling him that it's nice to see he's not taking it personally. He reveals that when he captured the knocked out Batman, he put a Mad Hatter Tech microchip in his head, causing Bruce to demand that he get out of it as he collapses, finding that he might be having a heart attack. Jack tells him to sit down and focus on his breathing and calm down since he's not dying, he's having a panic attack, revealing that he knows this thanks to monitoring Bruce's vitals. Bruce finds it ridiculous, demanding to know how, but Jack wonders if he thinks the mighty Batman can't have a panic attack. Bruce tells him to stop calling him Batman, but Jack knows it's nothing to be embarrassed about, and considering his history, how could he not have anxiety? Bruce demands to know why he is there, so Jack retrieves a Batman shirt pin, putting it on his lapel as he tells Bruce he's there to help him and Harley. At the GTO, Dick tells Duke that Jason let Bruce escape prison, but Duke doesn't think so since there was only ever one guard for every 30 prisoners, and the security of Stonegate hasn't been upgraded in years. Dick thinks the man is insinuating that it's his fault Stonegate is falling apart because the GTO eats up so much of the budget, revealing he knows all about Duke's emails to Barbara Gordon. Duke doesn't need Dick to spy on him since he already voiced his concerns over the security features of the prison to his face and got nothing. Dick demands he go and arrest Jason Todd right now, but Duke tells him he didn't join the GTO to get involved in personal grudges, throwing his badge at Dick and telling him he quits. Jack meanwhile tells Bruce that Gotham has become unrecognizable and it's hard to believe so much has changed in Batman's absence, but then again, most cities aren't infused with multi-billion-dollar fortunes, thousands of acres of land, and many more resources one family had accumulated over 7 generations. Bruce just wants to be left alone, knowing that Harley and him don't need Jack's help. Bruce slowly traverses the cityscape with some trouble, with Jack reminding him that Batman used to know how to do this. Bruce again states he's not Batman and Jack knows that, and that's the point since he's not really ready for this, and he is well past his physical peak, so he needs Jack's help. Bruce knows that he's just a hologram in his head, which means he has been in Stonegate with him, so he knows very little about Neo Gotham and probably about as much as Bruce does. Jack, however, reveals that he knows where all the GTO cameras are and he's been spotted on 3 of them, giving them only minutes before the GTO are on them. He tells Bruce that he knows this thanks to the hacking into the city's servers and giving Bruce whatever he needs, comparing himself to Robin, Alfred, and the Batcomputer all rolled into one. Bruce doesn't trust Joker, wanting to know how Jack isn't him anymore as the GTO arrive, demanding Bruce surrender. Dick tells Bruce to get on the ground as Bruce tries to tell him Derek Powers stole the Batsuit from the cave. Dick knows though that Derek saved the city and succeeded where Batman failed by ending crime in Gotham. Jack warns him of the inbound bat tanks as Dick tells his former friend that he has been paranoid and imagining things, but Bruce wishes that were true. Dick charges up his electric baton as Jack warns Bruce that Dick's heart rate is increasing and something is about to happen. Bruce quickly attacks Dick, punching him and grabbing his baton arm as Jack reminds him the armor Dick wears is reinforced Kevlar, so he won't be feeling any of the punches and blows, and the baton he is carrying is 100,000 volts. Dick smashes him in the head with his reinforced helmet, stunning him with the baton as he tells him that the GTO has achieved everything he worked for by doing what Batman wouldn't. Jack begins downloading blueprints on Dick's suit from the servers to find a weakness as Dick tells Bruce not to embarrass himself and to stay down. Jack finds that the back of his knee is the weak spot, so Bruce grabs his baton, sticking it in Dick's leg and knocking him out from the shot. Jack tells him that they need to get out of there, but Bruce checks on Dick, who wants to know who Bruce is talking to. Bruce ties him up and grabs his grapple, telling his son that if he wants to protect Gotham, he needs to imprison the criminals, not an entire city. Jack says that he has missed this version of Batman, reassuring Bruce that he can trust him. Bruce knows that Jack gave him the tactical advantage in the moment, so he went along with it, looking over Dick's grapple gun, but Jack can't see the device thanks to it not being an electrical object and it's not giving off any heat and isn't made of metal. Bruce knows it's based off a design he made years ago but never finished, but it looks like Powers must have finished the design. Jack knows that the GTO are still going to be able to track him and Bruce is aware, wanting to get off the grid, and he thinks he knows how to do it. Jack is excited about Bruce getting a new Batsuit. he's never seen as Bruce swings across the city. Terry meanwhile has Derek Powers' people run scans on the new Batsuit, finding it more than he possibly could imagined, hoping that it would work out the kinks though, since he almost killed the two guards at Wayne Manor. Powers knows that it was an accident, and there's always setbacks when there's innovation involved. Terry knows that he's talking about the project his father was working on, revealing that the suit was actually part of that project. Terry asks if his father would be okay with him stealing this suit, but Derek knows that Warren was dedicated to his work and understood how much danger they were in, wanting to tell Terry all about it when he is ready. Terry finds an old family photo of him and his mother and father, consoled by Derek, who assures him all will be okay. Dick meanwhile is chewed out by Barbara Gordon, who knows that even with all his fancy high-tech gear, he still got his ass handed to him by a man in his 60s. Dick wants an APB put out by the GCPD on Bruce, but Barb knows that now suddenly the all-powerful GTO needs their help. Knowing Dick doesn't outrank her, and he made sure the GTO is an independent program from the police. Dick is angered, telling her that she tried to shut them down, but Barb reminds him that he just stood back as Powers moved in and removed her from her role, and Dick never said anything in her defense, wondering if the GTO is more important to him than their relationship, since it seems like it was more important Dick get back at Bruce than it was for him to be with her. Dick tries to reason with her, but Barb reminds him that there's still a lot of crime in Gotham, like the theft of freedom and the invasion of privacy, and how the military regime is there and they are forced to live under it. Dick thinks that people are safer than ever, but Barb knows that suicides and drug use and homelessness are all at an all-time high. Dick knows that had he, Bruce, and her grown up in Neo Gotham, they would never have lost their parents and never would have become vigilantes, but Barb reminds him he still is a vigilante, since the ultra-rich don't now need to release supervillains to scare Gotham into submission. All they need to do is send Dick and the GTO out. Barbara leaves, telling Dick that he should be happy that Bruce escapes, since finally the GTO have some challenge. Bruce meanwhile heads to an old house, told by Jack that 2 undercover GCPD units are watching the home. Bruce is well aware, leaping across to the next roof as he reminds Jack that him and all his old friends thought Batman was just a guy in body armor looking for a fight, forgetting that he was mostly a detective. Jack reminds him that he isn't Joker anymore, but Bruce tells him that he's not Batman anymore either. Bruce quietly makes it to a small garage, hitting a button and revealing a micro bat cave. Jack spots the motorcycle, hoping that there is room for 2 on it, but Bruce tells him that's not happening, heading down some stairs and revealing to Jack the bat suit he came for. Jack finds the yellow and black to be very retro, hoping that Bruce is putting it on as Harleen appears, knowing that they have had no contact for years, and now she finds Bruce sneaking around her basement without saying hello. Jack begins to panic, thinking that he would have been prepared for this, finding Harleen to be stunning as always. Bruce tells her that he is leaving soon, not thinking that she wanted to see him, but she tells him that of course she wanted to see him, since she isn't just one of his closest friends, she is Bruce's wife, and Bruce is her husband. News which shocks Jack, who feels like he has missed a thing or two.